In this video, we're going to be doing a teardown of a Sony Vaio Z505. We'll be replacing the spinning hard drive with a compact flash-based SSD solution. We'll be seeing how we can upgrade the RAM, and checking out the CMOS battery. And then finally, we'll be taking a tour of the factory Japanese Windows 2000 installation. But first, some history and specs. The Z505 was released in 1999, also known as the Z600 in Europe. It's the third model in the 505 Slimline series of compact notebooks, following the original 505 and then the N505, which was a very small redesign with a minor specs boost. The Z505 was the first more notable redesign. Even within the Z505 series, there's a bit of a refresh, changing up a lot of the ports and buttons. It came with a range of processors starting at a 303 MHz Pentium 2, also a 650 to 800 MHz Pentium 3, or for low-end models, a 500 to 600 MHz Celeron. Base memory is 64 megabytes and it's advertised as upgradable to 256 megabytes through a single slot. However, as you'll see, my Z05 has a second slot, although it's on the other side of the motherboard, kind of hidden away in recording a full teardown. For display, you get a 12-inch 1024 by 768 LCD. For graphics, you either get an ATI Rage Mobility or a Neomagic Magic Media 256XL. For storage, you got a 44-pin 2.5-inch ID hard drive starting at 6.4 gigabytes and up to 20 gigabytes. For operating systems, you either got Windows 98 or Windows 2000. The Z505 weighed in at 3.7 pounds, and as part of the thin-line series, it's just under 1 inch thick at its thinnest point. So now let's take a look at the Vaio. There's not much to see on the back here, no panels to access your RAM or your hard drive, just the battery. Nothing along the back edge. Along the front, our status LEDs and our screen latch. Along the side, our Kensington lock, our power jack. Under this door, the connector for our port replicator. I'll show that in a minute. Our FireWire iLink port, microphone, headphone, PC card slot, mini USB, and memory stick reader. On the other side, we have our jog dial, USB port, Ethernet port, CPU exhaust, power switch, infrared port, and modem. Opening the lid, we have our jog dial, trackpad, keyboard, top firing speakers. You can see this is the top of the battery here, which is a little unusual, and our screen. Let's do a quick comparison to an earlier revision of the Z05. On the side, you can see it's mostly the same. The mini USB port is moved to a different color on the memory stick reader. On the front, you can see they decided to swap some of the LED indicators around. And on the other side, you can see the newer version has the jog dial where the old one had the power programmable key. No Ethernet jack on the old one. Our mini USB is moved to this side. Under this door, the old version has a connector for the floppy drive. Now let's take a look at the accessories, starting with the port replicator. This gives us a printer port, VGA monitor, PS2 mouse, keyboard, serial port. I have the Windows 2000 and Windows 98 Japanese recovery CDs. I've uploaded these to archive.org along with a hard drive image. One of my Z05s had an extended battery. It's kind of interesting. Don't really see a model number on it. It's hinged so you can flip it up or fold it down to lift up the laptop. Put it at an angle. I was also kind of interested by the gray color because on the Z05 you can see the top of the battery here. So it's going to contrast a bit as you'll see in a moment. Here's our gray battery. One last thing to show off, this nice sleeve made specifically for the Z505. It's got the Vaio color scheme, nice padded foam. So now let's get started with the teardown. We begin by removing the battery. Now we have a bunch of screws to remove. It's pretty straightforward. They're all marked with arrows and they're all the same size. So now the keyboard just lifts away. It's only being held on by the cable. We push the latches towards the top of the laptop to release the cable. You can see under the keyboard it also gives us access to the second memory slot. It does have built-in memory on a slot on the other side of the motherboard. We have this cover plate heat sink just being held on by some Kapton tape. And then just a single screw in the top cover here. The final two screws are under the speaker covers. First we just slide off these little caps off the end of the hinges. Then we can pop off the covers over the top of the hinges. Helps to kind of squeeze it together. There's clips on either side. So now we can slide off the speaker covers. There is a little latch on the cover, so it helps if you bend it out a bit. You can get a better view of that latch in the bottom right there. So now we have access to our final two screws holding our top cover on. The one on the right is hidden under a warranty void sticker. few more things to remove. We flip up the little white latch on this ribbon cable and remove it. And then we disconnect the two speakers. Now we can lift the top away, being careful because the trackpad is still connected. Now there's enough room to remove the hard drive with this still connected. I do remove this later. It's just another little white flip up connector. So now let's check out a close-up of the board. Looks like our modem chip under here. Our BIOS chip, which is socketed. So here's where I was trying to get access to the battery, taking out this nearby circuit board. It's especially likely on these earlier laptops to have either a nickel metal hydride or NiCad CMOS battery. These often leak and do a lot of damage. So I'm going to jump forward a bit and insert the footage where I had removed the battery. It makes most sense to do it here. So I didn't fully remove the motherboard. I just took off some of the daughter boards, disconnected a bunch of the connectors. I was able to lift up the board enough to get to the connector. However, this is a lithium battery, so there's not really any risk of it leaking. You can probably just leave this in place. Here are a few images peeking on the board. You can see that second memory slot. So now back to our hard drive swap. First, we need to remove this ribbon cable that crosses over the top of the drive. Just another flip up white lever. And then we have two screws holding on the caddy. Next, we pop the IDE connector off the motherboard, and then we wiggle out the drive. Next, remove the IDE connector itself from the drive, and then the two rails. So I'm going to be replacing this with a compact flash adapter, using a 4 GB industrial compact flash card. Then I have a 3D printed enclosure for it. So the rails are now installed. Now a little masking tape just to keep it in place, keep it isolated. Next, we can reinstall our IDE connector, slide our drive back into place, making sure we go underneath that ribbon cable, and then screw it into place. We reconnect our ribbon cable, sliding the lever back down, and in my case I also need to reconnect the trackpad. So next we can reinstall our top cover, then we have another ribbon cable and our two speakers to connect. I have a few of the plastic part covers that had fallen off. We have our two screws by the speakers, a little out of frame here. The final screw into the top cover. And now we can slide our speaker covers on. Our hinge covers, they need to go a specific way. And then the little caps just slide on. We have our heatsink plate, hooks onto the right, held down with tape on the left. Next, reinstall the keyboard and its ribbon cable. And finally, all of the screws into the bottom. So now let's take a tour of Windows 2000, starting by looking at the BIOS. So checking out our Vaio applications, first we have DV-Gate. This is our FireWire image and video capture. Next, the media bar. You can see it gives us a CD player and also a mini disc player. The mini disc player is kind of interesting because only the NV series came with a built-in mini disc player optional, but it couldn't do playback. This software, as you're about to see, asks for a Control A1 cable, which looks like a proprietary cable made for some select Sony MD players. Smart Capture and Smart Connect, more camera capture and file transfer software. ISP trials and internet-related software. Our virtual world chat room, I'll show one of them here. Show a lot more examples in my QR1 video. Sony's Office Suite. Our battery information, power plan, notebook setup. Here's battery scope. My battery is so far gone, it doesn't even recognize, but it would show how many cycles it has, wear level. All of our PDF manuals, including one for the laptop. Movie Shaker, Sony's video editor, kind of like Windows Movie Maker. You can add clips, transitions, special effects, and you can shake it to apply different themes automatically. Devon for You, our mapping software. Our Yamaha music player. I hadn't seen this app before. It looks to be a demo on how to use online banking. Taking a quick look at the jog dial, we can configure different settings, launch different applications. A lot of the Sony applications added special functionality to the jog dial when you're using the app. You can see here we can change our power options. We can also adjust our volume. Now let's take a look at the built-in Vaio wallpaper. You can see this wallpaper has a welcome button. Clicking this launches the product registration app. And finally, let's check out this Vaio's Windows properties. But that's it. Thanks for watching.